Manchester United will make an approach to sign Victor Gyokeres this month rather than wait until the summer. The Sporting Lisbon striker 26 was always likely to attract interest from his former boss Ruben Amorim after he was appointed as United's new head coach back in November. But a move for the Sweden star was penciled in for the summer, not now. Those plans have changed though. Amorim has told United's power brokers that they need to sign Gyokeres now given their struggles in the Premier League, say the Star. Manchester United are 14th in the table after losing their last 3 league games and look short on firepower. But even if they can find the cash they need to trigger Gyokeres' £80 million plus release clause, it remains to be seen if he will fancy the move. The former Coventry City man has grown into one of Europe's most sought-after strikers since moving on from the Championship and is believed to boast several high-profile suitors. January is a notoriously difficult time to extract players, so it's practically a given that Gyokeres will have more choice over his next move in the summer. And with United currently looking highly unlikely to qualify for Europe at all, Gyokeres would potentially be giving up European football next season should he opt to leave Sporting in January. To that end, his stance on leaving Sporting mid-season is currently unclear. While Sporting have already parted company with Amorim's successor, João Pereira, they are still top of the Portuguese league and on track to progress in the Champions League. Former Arsenal midfielder Anders Limpar previously referenced the fact that Gyokeres would probably have his pick of clubs if he does hold out until the end of the season. We have to remember that the Portuguese league is inferior to the Premier League, but when Manchester City came to visit Lisbon, he scored a hat-trick, so he's fully capable of scoring in England, Limpar said back in November after tipping him to join Arsenal. He has played for Coventry and scored goals. He knows the English mentality. I think his next step is to play in the Premier League and he can really choose which team he wants to play in. The process of selling Alvaro Fernandez was perfect, according to Erik Ten Hag. Palaver would be a more appropriate description. Manchester United sold a fit left-back without playing him, who is now playing in the same league Ruben Amorim coached in. Meanwhile, United effectively still have no left-back. Tyrell Malacia has been substituted in 3 of his 4 starts and was omitted from the squad against Wolves on Boxing Day. It has been 319 days since Luke Shaw last started a club game. And then there is Fernandez, United's first summer sale. He has started in all 6 of Benfica's Champions League matches and in 13 of their 16 league games. That United never granted Fernandez a debut was a travesty. Brandon Williams played ahead of him during the 2023 pre-season tour, even though he had been informed by then football director John Murtough he was for sale. United never got a penny for the released Williams. Fernandez received Preston's Young Player of the Year award during his season on loan at Deepdale in 2022 to 2023. Malacia then suffered the knee injury that kept him sidelined for 550 days. Shaw predictably broke down after 2 games. Opportunity knocks. Instead, Fernandez was knocked back. United preferred to recruit the 11th hour loanee Sergio Reguilón, one of the club's worst left-backs in living memory. Fernandez was loaned to Granada on the same day. Shaw has been available for 3 games this season, while Malacia came back in November. Right-backs Noussair Mazraoui and Diogo Dalot have been run into the ground and their form has suffered. 10. Hag's judgment at left-back was often awry. Buying Malacia, loaning Reguilón, selling Fernandez, playing Victor Lindelof and Sofiane Amrabat there, starting Harry Maguire in pre-season, only to then not use him whatsoever when the actual season started. Amas, 17, was added to the United first team squad on the day of the Community Shield and has since barely been involved with the first team. He was in every predicted 11 in newspapers that Saturday morning, yet was not even named on the team sheet against Manchester City. Ten Hag included Amas among the substitutes for his last 2 matches in charge, and Ruud van Nistelrooy named him on the bench against Chelsea and PAOK. He has not been seen in training under Amorim. Fernandez, 21 at the time he left United, would have been a shoo-in. People at the club who coached him still cannot grasp how he never got a kick. During his 4 years at United, Fernandez's character was as impressive as his quality. He and Mark Jurado touched down in Manchester during the COVID-19 pandemic and had to quarantine for 2 weeks. Video calls with coaches and compatriots, Arnau Puigmal and Mateo Mejia, already in the United Academy, helped ease them in without leaving their new home. After United won the FA Youth Cup in May 2022, Fernandez sat in the director's box, hurtled down the gangway and onto the touchline. He was the first to charge onto the pitch at the final shrill. Fernandez was not even eligible for selection. He was watching and supporting the age group below him, but was as delighted as his participating teammates. With the floodlights fading, Fernandez and Alejandro Garnacho posed with their silver shields that recognised their status as the Denzel Haroun Reserve Player of the Year and the Jimmy Murphy Young Player of the Year. Fernandez would be on the bench for the last game of United's season at Crystal Palace 11 days later. Oddly, he was unused by Ralf Rangnick on a day Garnacho and Shola Shortire emerged. The next day, Ten Hag arrived. Fernandez was surprisingly cut from United's pre-season tour squad. He was more involved during the following year's pre-season, but the only times he played under Ten Hag were in the first halves against Leeds United, in Norway, and Lyon in Edinburgh, and 64 minutes against Athletic Bilbao in Dublin. "I think the process is perfect," Ten Hag said when asked about Fernandez. "We loaned him to Preston, he got back, then we loaned him to Granada, but he didn't play so much there, and of course, all the time we observed him. Now we had the opportunity to sell him, but we have a buyback, so we have control of the situation. But I think that's what he needed from Preston. Then go to La Liga, then the next step Portugal, every time stepping up to a higher club and a better league. So we have to see and assess the situation, if he can maybe be an option for us in the future, maybe the immediate future. United have a buyback option for £16 million until summer 2026. Only United cannot afford Fernandez this month without shifting Malacia or Shaw. Those two are hard sells, hardly a perfect process." The transfer window is officially open, but don't expect Manchester United to break the bank this month. The Red Devils will have to wheel and deal in January if they are to provide their new head coach, Ruben Amorim, with the fresh faces that his beleaguered team would appear to desperately need. United are languishing in 14th place in the Premier League after back-to-back losses over the Christmas period. And with a daunting trip to arch-rivals Liverpool on the horizon, things could get even worse for Amorim and co. As speculation over what United may or may not do in the January transfer window continues to build, Mirror Football brings you all the latest transfer news and gossip from Old Trafford. Marcus Rashford has shot down reports that he held talks with a new agency as speculation over his future at Manchester United continues. The forward, 27, is represented by his brother, Dwayne Maynard. It had been reported by The Sun that Rashford had spoken with the Stella Group to help him secure a move away. But Rashford took to social media on New Year's Day to rubbish said reports, saying, "Been a lot of false stories written over past few weeks, but guys, this is getting ridiculous. Never met with any agency and don't have any plans to do so." Ruben Amorim wants to sign a new goalkeeper in the wake of Andre Onana's inconsistent performances. United paid out big money to sign the Cameroon international from Inter Milan back in the summer of 2022, but Onana has made a catalogue of high-profile errors since moving to Old Trafford. And while the 28-year-old has been in better form so far this season, Amorim wants to sign a new goalkeeper to push him in 2025, according to the Manchester Evening News. Casemiro is said to be ready to consider a move in January as clubs in the Saudi Pro League weigh up a move for the veteran midfielder. The Brazil star, 32, has come in for criticism over the past 18 months after a drop in form. And that has led to speculation that United would like to offload the veteran's substantial salary, despite the fact he impressed during his first season at Old Trafford. According to Brazilian outlet UOL, there are as many as 6 Saudi Pro League clubs in the running to sign Casemiro, including Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr. Bruno Fernandes was among the players to send a congratulatory message to Magic Juan Mata after the former Manchester United star scored his first goal for Western Sydney Wanderers. Mata, 36, spent 7.5 years at Old Trafford after quitting Chelsea. The veteran attacking midfielder would go on to make 285 appearances in total, before moving on to pastures new in the summer of 2022. Since departing United, Mata represented Galatasaray before a challenging spell in Japan with Vissel Kobe, where he featured just once. But the Spaniard has played far more regularly since moving to Australia to join the Westies. Mata opened his account in the A-League in Western Sydney Wanderers' 3-2 defeat to Macarthur on New Year's Day, and Fernandez was quick to pay tribute on social media. Commenting on a clip of the goal, which was shared by the official A-League's Instagram account, Fernandez said of his former teammate, "The year changes, but magic never disappears, Juan Mata Garcia," alongside a love heart eyes emoji. He wasn't the only one of Mata's former Manchester United teammates to comment. David de Gea, who left United at the same time as Mata, also chimed in, saying the left foot with the eyes emoji. While Mata has found a new lease of life in Australia, it's been a difficult campaign for Fernandez and Manchester United, who have lost their last 3 games. The Red Devils have underperformed in the Premier League all season and currently find themselves in 14th place, despite axing Erik Ten Hag and replacing him with Ruben Amorim. Fernandez has been called out by some for a lack of discipline after being shown 3 red cards this season, although one was later overturned on appeal. But the influential Portugal midfielder did miss out on Monday's 2-0 defeat to Newcastle after being sent off for 2 yellow cards in United's previous outing against Wolves. The 30-year-old is expected to return to the team on Sunday when United travel to their arch-rivals, Liverpool, in the hope of inflicting a surprise defeat on Arne Slot's side, who have been beaten just once in the Premier League all season.